How you guys doing, and welcome aboard the next video. Today we're going to be doing a video that was requested to me by my friend Matthew. And I'm going to try something a little new today, which is a narration. Let me know if you guys like the narration as opposed to me being in front of the camera like I've been doing. Be much appreciated. I would love to hear your feedback. Also, that like button click really helps out with the channel. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started.
Fatality. Get over here! Hadouken!
It's me, Mario! Here we go!
So what first-person shooter game do you guys think started it all? Was it Half-Life in 1998? What about Quake in 1996? Of course not. Now how about Doom in 1993? No. Could it have been Wolfenstein 3D in 1992? Not even close. To answer this question, we're going to have to take a trip back to NASA in 1973 with high school developers Steve Cawley, Greg Thompson, and Howard Palmer. These guys, along with a few others, created a game called Maze Wars on the M-Lock PDS-1 mini computer. At that time, it was just a one-player maze game. It was simple enough. Find your way through the maze in a first-person three-dimensional game and you win. This reminds me of the Death Star plans in Episode 4 when they talked about the exhaust ports. You know, actually, it turns out the guy that made him, Larry Kuba, also worked for NASA at one point in time. Really interesting how this is already starting to come together. Anyways, the boys at NASA got bored pretty quick, so either Steve or Greg, they don't really know who, but one of them said something I could only imagine being along the lines of, "Dude, let's link two M-Locks together and play two-player." And then it escalated to, "Whoa, you know it would totally be tubular? If we could, like, shoot each other in the face." Thus the first-person shooter was born. Its exact release date isn't known, but the year is 1974. That much we do know, and it made its way to MIT. After it made it to MIT, they played against Stanford students on a network called the ARPANET, or ARPANET. There's actually a legend that surrounds this. It's said that due to the immense popularity of the game, it was chewing up data so quickly on the ARPANET, causing it to be banned. Well, that's just something else, ain't it? Bunch of nerds getting shit banned because of a video game. Yeah, we'll see that plenty of times throughout history. Just look at the Mortal Kombat series. Anyways, in March of 1974, we also got Spasm on the Play-Doh Computer Network, a 32-player 3D network space flight simulation game developed by Jim Bowery. There are two versions of this game, but the premise of the game has 4 teams of 8. Players that control a spaceship in 3D space and primarily fly and commence an ass-whooping on the other teams. Now let's just jump to 1980. Where we get a game from Atari called Battlezone, a first-person tank combat game. Battlezone used wireframe vector graphics on a black and white vector monitor with green and red section-colored overlays. It even had an erupting volcano in the game, like, hot damn, shit's getting real. There's missiles flying at your face and shit. Anyways, jump ahead another 8 years, we get The Colony in 1988. Which was a terrible game and has aged so badly I feel like I need a tetanus shot just looking at it. Now, I'm only joking. I would have played this game and loved it. It is considered the first game to allow your mouse to change views freely at the same time it rendered the graphics, and was the first 3D game to let the player drive a vehicle. Nice! Now let's go ahead and jump over to 1992. A part of FPS history, or first-person shooter history, would be Gunbuster, not Nutbuster. Okay, we're not busting a nut, but Gunbuster. gun busting all over that bass. Anyways, now the reason why we mention this game is because it is the first and one of the only light gun games that was an off-the-rail game. It had a joystick as well as a light gun, and even had a multiplayer mode where you could have up to 4 words and shit. 4 people play. It had a joystick as well as the light gun, and even had a multiplayer mode where you could have up to 4 people play. This game seems like a legit fun and badass game. Unfortunately, its distribution was limited and so was its impact, but still an amazing yet forgotten game in time. Sadly. Now let's talk about the legendary John Carmack. You'll know him today as the CTO of Oculus VR, but back in the 90s he was programming games for id Software and was working on a ray casting engine. He started making major improvements on the engine after hearing about a 3D engine being used to make a game called Ultima Underworld. The first game he made while developing his engine was Catacomb 3D in 1991. But it's the second game where shit really hits the fan. Wolfenstein 3D. It was released by id Software in 1992. John Carmack's hard work finally paid off. Of course, not without the help of John Romero and Tom Hall, who designed the mazes in the game, as well as Adrienne Carmack, no relation to John Carmack, who hand drew the 256 color objects and character sprites. The game included many Easter eggs that id Software continues to do to this day. People love the game, and why wouldn't you? You get to shoot Hitler in the face! Well, Mecha Hitler anyways. Still, you get to unload in his mouth.
And into the mouth. Nice.
Of course, with their success came game developers wanting to capitalize on the Wolfenstein goody goodness of the early 90s. So much so, Bungie released Pathways into Darkness in 1993. Exclusively on the Mac, you play a Special Forces soldier who needs to prevent the awakening of a godlike being. In the game, you work your way through a pyramid solving puzzles, and depending on how you play, determines what ending you get. Epic Mega Games also tried with their game in 1993 as well, called Ken's Labyrinth on MS-DOS. Now I'm not going to talk much at all about that game, because it seems kind of boring in my opinion, so I'm just going to move on to the next example. 3DO came up with the Escape from Monster Manor also in 1993 on the 3DO Interactive Multiplayer. In this game, you run through a haunted mansion collecting pieces of a talisman in order to escape. Even Raven Software, who were friends with id Software, released Shadowcaster in the same year as well. This game was released on the DOS and later the PC-98. In this game, you play as Kurt, a shape-shifting human from a different dimension. The goal being to stop demons. Does that part sound familiar? It probably should. Well, all of this was short-lived for all of these companies because in December of 1993, id Software unleashed a beast. John Carmack yet again took the first-person shooter and made it his bitch. Originally, Doom was going to be an Alien game, but the licensing fell through, so we thankfully got Doom Guy. Now, of course, it was inspired by Aliens, but if you pay close attention, it also has what you can see as inspirations from D&D or Dungeons & Dragons. Let's not forget the many Easter eggs in this one as well. I mean, this is id Software we're talking about. Doom is so successful and so iconic that the platforms it's available on is an insane number. Even the Atari Jaguar has got it. Then we got the Doom clones. That's not to say they weren't good, because God knows there were plenty good ones too. In 1994, Raven Software released Heretic, which was produced by their friends at id Software and released on the MS-DOS and the classic Mac OS. Heretic is one of the first FPSs to allow inventory manipulation and the ability to look up and down. It even had a sequel called Hexen in 1995 with quite a few improvements. And there was a Hexen 2 as well. And here comes the next game. There's also Corridor 7 Alien Invasion, developed by Capstone Software, also released in 1994. This game was suggested to me to mention by Matthew as well, who wanted me to do this video. Thank you so much, Matthew. Here's to you, bro. In this game, you infiltrate a military base that's been overridden with aliens. You basically annihilate all the aliens in a level in order for a door to open and you move into the next level. That is actually a really badass game. I have to hand it to you, Matthew. That was awesome. And it looks great. Now, then there's Rebellion's Atari Jaguar exclusive Alien vs. Predator, released the same year. In this game, you can take control of either an alien, a predator, or In this game, you can take control of either an alien, a predator, or the human Private Lance Lewis of the Colonial Marines. It was critically acclaimed for its graphics, atmosphere, and amazing gameplay for its time. And I gotta tell you guys, even today, this still looks like a badass game. I think I might actually go pick one of these up, to be honest with you. Then there's the Amiga exclusive Alien Breed 3D by Team 17 in 1995. Not to be confused with the Alien movies, because it's not aliens, it's just inspired by them, so just so you know, it's not licensed. Alien Breed 3D is actually the fourth game in the Alien Breed series. Unlike Doom, this game actually has varying depths with platforms and floors, which is something the engine used to make Doom was incapable of. Also, the magazine Amiga Power, for some reason, said it was the 12th best game of all time. Yeah, okay. I wonder whose dick they sucked to get that one, right? It's just Amiga. Nobody gave a shit. But anyways, out of all these, there was one Doom clone that stood out from the rest. In 1996, Duke Nukem 3D was made by 3D Realms for MS-DOS. This is the game that many claim is the reason for the FPS genre becoming so popular. This is very hard to argue, considering its risky humor, pop culture references, and just everything about it that made people want it more. But then in 1996, id Software changed the FPS yet again, which will change everything. So I hope you guys like this video, and let me know in the comments as always if I did a good job, if you like what I did, or if I should keep to what I've been doing, or should change it up like I have been. Now, as always, if you like this video, click that like button down below. If you haven't done it already, go ahead and subscribe. And as always, remember 22 and stay classy, bros.
Continue.